Assalamu alaikum. My name is Abdul Samad, but you can call me Brother John. I will be launching a meditation program soon. I'm still working on it at the moment, but I'm going to announce it here as soon as it is ready. My goal with this program is to share with you what I've learned through my years of training in meditation that I think would be very useful to Muslim people. I have come to realize that something essential to the practice of the deen, and that is often lacking, especially in this age of distraction, is presence, ḥuḍūr. The good news is that presence can be cultivated and developed to a higher degree with proper method and training. I intend to present simple yet powerful methods that can help you achieve that goal. I recently heard someone say something which I agree with very much. He said we should be with what is and with Allah. This is profoundly true, because if we are not with what is, we cannot be with Allah. What is not something neutral or random. What is Allah's creation, and more than that, it is Allah's activity unfolding in this very moment. And of course, the aim is to be with Allah. What does it mean to be with Allah? It means to be aware of His presence. This is clearly pointed to in the Hadith of Jibril, where the Prophet, peace be upon him, says, "Worship Allah as if you see Him, and if you do not see Him, know that He sees you." This Hadith invites us into an awareness of divine presence. And this awareness is not momentary. It is something we are meant to learn to sustain. The main obstacle to being aware of Allah's presence is that we are not with what is, meaning we are not present with how Allah is bringing creation into being right now. So what does it mean not to be with what is? To be with what is presence, ḥuḍūr. Presence does not need to be created. Presence is already here, because Allah's creative act is already here. It is simply a matter of being aware of it. But are we aware of presence? Are we paying attention to presence? Let me give you an example. Right now, you may be sitting and listening to these words. If I ask you to become aware of the soles of your feet, the sensations there, you will immediately notice something. Sensation appears. Those sensations were already there before I mentioned them. Your feet did not suddenly come into existence. What changed was not what is, but your attention to it. Presence is like that. Allah's creation was already unfolding. You simply turn towards it. We simply forget to attend to what Allah is doing now. So where does our attention usually go? Very often it goes to what is not. This is precisely what heedlessness is, giving attention to what is not, giving attention to what is not real in the present moment. When we are lost in memories of the past, we are with what is no longer. The past is gone. When we are lost in the future, whether in worry, fear, or anticipation, we are with something that does not exist yet. Even desire works this way. By definition, desire is oriented toward what we do not have. There is nothing wrong with wanting improvement or health or ease. But while the mind is absorbed in an imagined future, it is not with what Allah is creating now. Fear, worry, regret, longing, these are all movements of attention away from Allah's current act of creation. This is the condition of the untrained mind, constantly occupied with things that do not exist. Meditation is training. It is the deliberate training of attention, learning to return again and again to what is. And what is always happening now, because Allah is always creating now. When you pay attention to the breath as it is, for example, without trying to change it, you are attending to one small sign of Allah's ongoing creative act. The breath is a present moment phenomenon. If you observe closely, you will notice something subtle. You are never with two breaths at once. You are only with this inhale, not the next one, not the last one, only with the exhale as it unfolds, only with the beginning of the inhale, then the middle of the inhale, then the end of the inhale, and so on. This kind of attention trains you to remain here. And this is not something separate from worship. Wanting to be properly present with what Allah is creating now is itself ḥuḍūr. It is an act of servitude, of humility before reality as Allah brings it forth. But being with what is does not only mean noticing sensations of breath. It also means learning to perceive reality as it is, without resistance, because reality is Allah's choice in this moment. One of the clearest signs of an untrained nafs is that it refuses to accept the present moment. It judges it, criticizes it, tries to replace it with an idea of how things should be. This shouldn't be happening. This should be different. I shouldn't feel this. They shouldn't have said that. An immense amount of energy is spent arguing with reality. But reality is Allah's decree as it unfolds now. All of these propositions from the nafs are actually non-existent things, and this inner opposition to what Allah has willed in the moment is a major source of suffering. Real happiness, or you can call it joy if you like, comes from being in accord with what is, meaning being in accord with Allah's wisdom in the present moment. When we begin to observe how the mind resists the present moment, we begin to see the nafs clearly. We realize how much misery it creates by placing a veil between us and reality. A veil made of judgment. The ego is a fault finder. It scans endlessly for what is wrong. It can look at an entire wall and only see the one crooked brick. But this habit can be transformed. When you notice yourself resisting reality, you can stop and remember. This moment is perfect. Not because it feels pleasant, but because it comes from Allah. This is your provision now. Judgment can then be replaced with gratitude. Gratitude is not based on blind positivity. Gratitude is clear seeing, perceiving what Allah is giving now. If we truly saw what is as it is, gratitude would arise naturally. Much of our sadness and despair comes from magnifying a small fragment of reality until it blocks everything else from view. One difficulty eclipses 1,000 gifts. This is why the path is dhikr, remembrance. Everything in Islam is designed to help us remember, to return to presence, to return to now, so that we can perceive Allah's creation as it is, with the proper attitude, gratefulness. The dua for entering a room, leaving the house, eating, dressing, sleeping, these are not just formalities. They are anchors. They bring us back to the present, to what Allah is doing now. Even the prayer times train us to be children of the moment, ibn al-waqt. They force us into presence. All of this supports ḥuḍūr. When you are with what is, you are present with Allah's creation and Allah's activity in the moment. When presence is cultivated, the heart becomes capable of perceiving Allah's presence, because Allah is always present. It is we who are absent. Assalamu alaikum.